Hi. Yeah, we were going to make a spinning video. We had it all set up and everything. Yeah, that's the camera cord. Yeah. And then we decided to make a kitty video instead. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Well, maybe we can secure that. Ah! Okay. Look at that, it's all messed up. Whew. Okay, off. Kitty off. Ready? Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. No. Anti-spinning feline overlord. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. There's not going to be no spinning in cowgirl boots. Not tonight. Okay. Welcome to a spinning in cowgirl boots. I'm Jen. This is my wheel. These are my boots. And this is my anti-spinning feline overlord. Yeah. This is going to sit right here and supervise the whole proceedings. Aren't you, baby? Okay. So it's late at night, and as you can tell, I'm spinning under adverse conditions. Wah! Stop it. And I have quite a bit left to go on these bobbins down here. I'm making yarn that looks like, excuse me, dear, you're on it. Okay. That looks kind of like, let's see, like that. Where I've got one, what I'm calling core, that's in a dark purple. I don't know if those colors really to show up there, but it's in a dark purple, trust me. And the other one is in a series of pastels. And I'm spinning it at a bit of an angle. Nah. But it's late at night. And I'm not going to get these bobbins done. And I was sort of wishing that, you know, a good fairy would come along and just finish this all up for me. And I could go to bed and wake up in the morning and have it all done. That reminds me of a Scottish tale, because there actually is a folk tale that they told in Scotland about a woman who was having to stay up late with her spinning and her weaving and such. And she was wishing that she could go to bed, that there was someone who would come from across the land or across the sea or something like that. And she'd made this little chant. You know, she just wanted somebody to come along and do her spinning for her. Hey, stop that. Hey. And it happened. She was sitting at her wheel late at night. Her husband and her children were asleep, of course. And there's a knock at the door. And it's this little tiny, hi baby. It's this little tiny woman dressed in a green dress. Don't mess with the camera cord. And this little tiny woman offers to come in and help. And she says, oh, really? Well, you're just like a dream come true. And lets her in. And as soon as she shuts the door behind this woman, there's another knock. And it's another little woman, also suspiciously in a little green dress. She wants to help too. And the women just keep coming until there's a dozen of them. And it doesn't take long before there's a dozen little women in green dresses sitting around in her living room, and they're right at work. There's a couple of them sitting down at her loom, and then there's another one with the carding wool, and one of them's at the spinning wheel. And I mean, there's even one of them over at the fireplace heating water so that when the fabric all gets finished, it can be boiled in, well, what they would have called fulled, which is kind of what we would call felting. And they're making a lot of freaking noise because they're chattering away in these really high sing-song voices. Oh, baby. And guess what? Her husband and her kid are sleeping right through it. And that's when she realizes, I have let fairies into my house. These are fairies. The good fairy. The good fairy and her 11 closest friends have come to help her with her spinning. And they are loud. And it doesn't take long before all the good fairies. Oh, okay. You can go free. Oh, it's going to be so much easier. It doesn't take long before all the good fairies start demanding food. They want to be fed. They're hungry. So she goes to her kitchen and she goes to her larder and she starts making bread and cooking up whatever grains and dried meat that she has in the house, and she starts feeding them. And it doesn't matter how much food she makes. It doesn't matter how hard she works in the kitchen. They're never satisfied. And the night never seems to end. And her husband never seems to wake up. And sooner, it doesn't take long before she feels like she's going mad. And she wants it all to stop. So she does the only reasonable thing she can do. She leaves the house. She runs out of her own house in the dead of night and goes to the village and wakes up a local wise man and tells him what the problem is. And he says, oh yeah, you got fairies in your house. And your husband's not going to wake up and say he's sleeping an enchanted sleep. So there's only one thing you can do. You have to trick them. You have to trick fairies. And you have to trick them into leaving your house and then make sure that they can't get back in. So she goes home and she takes the old man's advice and she tricks them by telling them that the fairy hill, the fairy mound outside of town that everybody knows where all the fairy lives, it's on fire! Fire, fire, fire! All the fairies throw down the wool and the cards and the loom and everything, and they go charging out the door because they think their home's on fire. And once they're out the door, she slams the door behind them. And then she takes her spinning wheel and she takes the drive band off of it so that it can't operate. She turns her wheel upside down. She takes the boiling water for fulling and felting off the stove. Well, the fairies figure out pretty freaking quick that their house is not on fire, and they come straight back to her house and they want to be let in. And she tells them no. Ha ha. No, I'm never letting you crazy women back in my house. And they call out, these fairies, they call out with their magical power to the spinning wheel. And they call for the spinning wheel to come and open the door for them. And the spinning wheel answers because, it's a story with fairies in it. And spinning wheels can talk. And the spinning wheel has to tell them, I don't have a drive band. I can't help you. They call out to the loom, and the loom tells them, I'm all topsy-turvy and upside down. I'm not going to get that door open for you. They call out to the fulling water, who, of course, has to tell them, because everything can talk in this story, okay? And the fulling water has to tell them, well, I'm not even on the fire. I'm not even warm anymore. Y'all are on your own. And the woman thinks, ha. But then the fairies call out to the last loaf of bread in the house. The only freaking loaf of bread that the fairies didn't already eat. And the loaf of bread gets up off the counter and starts making its way to the door. And she thinks, oh, crap. Now, instead of grabbing up the loaf of bread, I don't write these stories. I don't know why she didn't just grab the loaf of bread, but instead she takes the fulling water that's still in its pot and now thankfully cold, and she carries it into the bedroom and she dashes it all over her sleeping husband. She just throws the water all freaking over him. And that wakes him up, finally. And he's kind of grumpy and covered in water, wet, and he hears this banging, clanging, and these crazy women trying to get into his front door. So he marches over to the front door and throws it open and yells at all of them and probably tells them to get the hell out of here. What are you doing? I'm sleeping. And they're afraid of her husband. And they go away and never come back. The end. These stories are always weird in the way they end, right? Folk tales and myth tales are always kind of end before you're ready. Anyway, I think the moral of that story is do your own spinning. Don't Don't wait for the good fairy to come and finish it all for you, because you know what? She just might, and then you'll be really sorry. But I have to tell you, if the good fairy shows up at my house and wants to sit down at this particular spinning wheel and do my spinning, she's gonna have to put up with a certain bad kitty. And I'm sure that my bad kitty, my anti-spinning feline overlord, can chase off any demented fairies before they eat up all the food in my house. Well, maybe that just means I haven't learned my lesson from the story. Anyway, I'm going to do this for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to hit the hay and go to bed. I don't think I'm going to finish tonight. Till next time.